Hey everybody, my name's Ryan, and here at eTrailer we install, test fit, and review a lot of different parts. That way we could try to answer any questions those of you might have. And that's exactly what we're doing here today on our 2020 GMC Sierra 2500. We're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the TorkLift frame-mounted rear camper tie-downs. Now, right off the bat, before we get too deep, I do want to mention to safely and properly secure your end bed camper, you're also going to want a set of these for the front. And you can pick them up individually or as a complete kit right here at eTrailer. But with that being said, these are going to be an excellent way to conveniently and securely mount down your end bed camper. And since these do connect right to our truck's frame, you know they're going to be extremely strong and really give you that peace of mind whenever you're going down the road. So the way these work are super simple. Your turnbuckles are going to connect to them here, and they're going to go up to your end bed camper, and that's what's actually going to kind of draw and tie everything together. If you're still unsure what turnbuckles you would like to use, ones that I really like are also made by TorkLift. They're called the Fast Guns, and they work perfectly with these tie downs, and not to mention they're super easy and quick to use. So these do come out past the side of our truck a little ways, and for those of you that are curious exactly how much, I'll just go from center of our tie down here to our bumper. Looks like it's going to be right at about 4.5 inches. Now if you need them to come out further, that can be accomplished. Right here we're going to have a pin and clip. You can remove that. And I'll just pull this out some to show you guys. But we're also going to have another hole right there. So you can actually do is line that one up, put your pin and clip back in, and that sets it out quite a bit further actually. So we'll take that same measurement. Looks like from the bumper to there's about 8 3/4 inches. So one thing that is pretty cool about these is whenever you're not using your in-bed camper, if you want to, you can leave them installed. However, what I would suggest doing is removing them. And all we're going to have to do is pull that pin and clip, pop these out. You can put them in your garage, in the back of your truck, wherever you want to keep them. And with it like this, you really can't even tell that you have anything going on down here. Unless you're more or less kind of on your hands and knees looking, you're never going to be able to see that receiver. So it really does do a great job of maintaining that factory GMC appearance. So when it comes to camper tie downs, I will say TorkLift really does do a great job at making them. Just the overall fit and finish is really nice. All the steel is nice and thick, even down to the welds. You know, they're super clean and accurate. And even the little things. The finish that's on this is almost like a textured, almost like a hammer tone powder coat finish, if you will. So this should do a great job of holding up to scratches and nicks and even rust and corrosion. So these should stay looking good for years to come. Now as far as actually putting these on, shouldn't really take you a whole lot of time. They do actually utilize factory attachment points. So the holes in the frame rail there, so you're not going to have to cut or drill anything or really modify anything for that matter. So as long as you stay focused, shouldn't really give you any issues at all getting them on at home. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put them on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be working on our driver's side here underneath our truck. And what I went ahead and did was just temporarily removed our spare tire just to give us some extra room to work. With that being said, if we move right here, this is where we're going to mount everything up. So the first thing we need to do is remove this little bracket here. This was there for our spare tire keeper to clip onto. So we're going to pull this off and set it to the side for now. And so we don't have any interference, we're also going to pull this nut insert out. I'm just going to use a little pick and kind of pull down on it, slide it out. So now I'd like to go over our attachment points that we're going to be using. We're going to have a total of 3. We'll have this hole, this one, and this large one. So we need to get our hardware in place. What we're going to do is grab one of the pull wires, and starting with this hole down here, you can run the coiled end up through there. We want it to come out through there. Once we have it out through there, what you're going to do is take one of the bolts and a star washer. You're going to thread that bolt onto the pull wire. And simply feed it down through there. And then you want to carefully remove this pull wire here, because we're going to need it for the other two attachment points as well. Then we can get our hardware into this attachment point. We'll do the same thing as the other one. Take our coil end, run it out through the large opening, star washer, and a bolt. Thread that in. And feed it down through. Now at this time, we're going to leave our pull wire attached. Now for this attachment point here, it's going to be a little different. You're going to grab the other pull wire. You're going to take the coiled end, run it through the large hole, and actually out through up here. Now once it's up and out through there, you're going to take another bolt and a star washer, and this time you're going to take this large plate, put it over it like so, and then just thread the bolt onto the pull wire. What I like to do is kind of separate our hardware, because we're going to kind of have to push it down through that opening, and it can be a little tight. So you might have to kind of work it in there as best you can. There's kind of a sweet spot you need to find where everything will just kind of fall into position. And once it does, you want to work that pull wire until our bolt passes through like so. So now we can take our tie down bracket. These are side specific, so make sure you check the instructions to find out if you have the right one. And we can get it installed. So the way this could work here, this attachment point here in the center, you're going to take the coiled end, the fish wire, feed it through. You're going to work this up, and you want to carefully line everything up. So you want all the bolts to pass through. And once we have it into position, this bottom one here, we're going to put on a flat washer, a split lock washer, and a hex nut. When you're trying to put this nut on, sometimes a bolt wants to kind of push up. What I like to do is just use my thumb to put some side pressure onto the washers and the bolt. That'll keep it steady enough for you to get this hand tight. Then we can move up to the middle attachment point here and remove this pull wire as well. You want to try to keep these in good shape because we're going to use them for the other side. Get that off. I do suggest kind of putting some pressure on that bolt with your fingers so don't fall back in there. Then what we're going to do, take our flat washer, slide that over, a split lock washer, we'll take our hex nut and get that started. So now with this bolt, you don't have a ton of threads to work with, so it can be kind of tricky to get our hardware going. So what I'm going to do to help kind of draw everything together is come back, tighten down this nut, followed by this one. I'm going to use a 19mm socket to get that done. So now we have more bolt to work with. You're going to take off the pull wire, and what I like to do is just take a pick or a small screwdriver and really help pull that bolt out. That way it don't fall back in, and it's a lot easier to get this pull wire off. Once that's out of the way though, take our flat washer, split lock washer, and our hex nut. Now that we have that one hand tight, I'll come back with my 19mm and snug it down as well. So with them all tight, you want to make sure to come back with a torque wrench and torque them down to the amount specified in our instructions. And then you would simply just repeat that same process over here on the passenger side. Now with that being said, once you have everything bolted up, you can go ahead and reinstall your spare tire. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the TorkLift frame-mounted rear camper tie-downs on our 2020 GMC Sierra 2500.